This is the Juicy Astrology for Sunday, November 28th through Friday, December 3rd, 2021. Welcome. Hello, beauties. Welcome to the Juicy Astrology for Sunday, November 28th through Friday, December 3rd, 2021. I'm Divinely Jennifer. How are you feeling, or maybe reeling, after the intensity of the last several weeks? Did you transform any feelings of paralysis into purpose with a little pluck? We're in the middle of deer rutting and deer hunting season in the United States. You may feel like the term deer in the headlights applies to you right now, unsure which direction to take. But don't worry, we'll be coming out of that energy in the next couple of weeks. I had a beautiful week traveling the western half of the United States with my beloved and without my laptop. I totally fell in love with southern South Dakota and will definitely be back to explore the land, the water, and the history there, especially a little town called Hot Springs in the southwest corner of the state. Have you ever had the sense that you know a place, even if it's your first time there physically in this incarnation? I cried like a baby, admittedly, when we crossed the Missouri River in Chamberlain, South Dakota, where there is a beautiful stainless steel statue of an Indigenous woman holding a quilt. The statue is called Dignity of Earth and Sky, or Dignity for short, and was created by sculptor Dale Claude Lamphere. It honors the cultures of the Dakota and Lakota peoples. I could honestly hear White Buffalo Calf Woman lovingly whispering in my ear, telling me to make peace in my heart wherever there may be a shadow, and to honor the heritage of all people through my work with the stars and natural health. It was transformational, just as the full moon of the Scorpio lunar cycle should be. And I'd love it if in the comments below on YouTube, or in my blog or on SoundCloud, if you would please share your transformational experiences as well. I'm happy to report that this last week of the Scorpio lunar cycle is, for the most part, incredibly positive, especially given that Mars is the last planet to remain in Scorpio. And we are instead feeling the optimism and adventure of Sagittarius, where the Sun, Mercury, and Vesta currently travel. I'll be hosting Illuminating the Shadows, the new moon in Sagittarius webinar on Sunday, November 28th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't worry if you've missed it or if you can't make it live. You can also purchase the recording at www.divinelyjennifer.com/webinars. Next week's new moon is also a total solar eclipse. While only totally visible in Antarctica and partially visible in South Africa, we'll all be feeling the energy of the eclipse. Eclipses magnify the energy of the new moon and the lunar cycle, just as we all experience with the full moon and partial lunar eclipse on November 19th. And with an eclipse, we tend to feel the energy for 6 to 12 months afterwards, and sometimes longer. I'll be talking about how to use the energy of the new moon eclipse to set an intention when I have the webinar. Unlike most new moons, you do not want to be initiating anything in the hours before and after an eclipse, as a shadow could be cast over whatever it is you want to manifest. And trust me, I've learned this the hard way. I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. Again, you can purchase the live or recorded webinar at www.divinelyjennifer.com/webinar. And it'll take you over to my other website, Oasis Wellness, where I have my shopping cart set up to purchase that webinar. And I'll send you a copy of your birth chart if you need it as well. We are also starting to feel the pull of Venus in Capricorn, where she'll turn retrograde on December 19th. We're going into the underbelly of the underworld with this retrograde. That might sound daunting, but I truly believe that this retrograde could be magical in terms of healing, self-love, and how we experience abundance. More on Venus later in this recording and in the coming weeks. All right, loves, there is a lot going on this week. So with no further ado, let's get to the juicy astrology for Sunday, November 28th through Friday, December 3rd, 2021. As always, all times listed are Pacific Standard Time, so please adjust accordingly to your time zone. Sunday, November 28th, the moon is in Virgo all day, where she is diligent, discerning, and regal. She focuses on doing her work before going void at 4:02 p.m. with a trine to Pluto and Capricorn, empowering us to get her done if it's in service to our highest self. There are 3 big conjunctions in Sagittarius happening today, all of them connected to each other. First, the sun conjuncts Vesta at 2:24 a.m. at 6 degrees 23 minutes of Sagittarius. Any conjunction with Vesta, the goddess of home, health, hearth, and the harvest, should feel like a loving embrace from the divine feminine. The sun in Sagittarius is boisterous, optimistic, and open to big, bold ideas. He's out on an adventure to see the world and experience as much as he can before winter sets in. Vesta offers him a place not to rest, but to experience a new teaching of feminine wisdom and love. All heroines' and heroes' journeys involve an initiation, or several. And Vesta is here to help the sun take his thinking to the next level. Then Mercury conjuncts Vesta at 12:18 p.m. at 6 degrees 37 minutes of Sagittarius. Mercury in Sagittarius is in his detriment. The messenger and communicator makes big promises he can't necessarily keep, and he can get stuck in dogmatism and one-sided beliefs instead of keeping an open mind. Vesta comes together with Mercury to remind all of us how important language is in creating the world we envision. Vesta wants us to birth a new high-frequency language for the new Earth. Adventurous Mercury is definitely up for the challenge. Pay attention today to how words and language can so powerfully impact energy, for better or worse. Likewise, Mercury in Sagittarius is helping to communicate the truth. Vesta can show him how to seek the truth within his spirit instead of from others, social media, TV, etc. Vesta teaches us how to seek the truth within. Finally, Mercury conjuncts the sun at 8:39 p.m. at 7 degrees 10 minutes of Sagittarius. Called a cazimi, this transit happens every 7 to 12 weeks, depending how quickly Mercury is moving through the sky. This is big, fiery energy of the mind, big thinking, big ideas, and waxing philosophical. The shadow side of this transit is reflected when people get stuck in dogmatic beliefs and ideas. And I'm going to be you're going to hear me say that a lot with Sagittarian energy. There's always the potential for dogmatism, fanaticism, getting stuck in beliefs and ideas, especially while the South Node is transiting through Sagittarius. But the South Node is going to be moving in December or January, depending on who you listen to for astrology. But he'll be moving into Scorpio no later than January of 2022. So we'll be getting out of some of that energy that we've been stuck in the last 2.5 years. I'm very happy about that. And the higher frequency of this transit of Mercury conjunct the sun emerges when we communicate with our hearts instead of our egos. Again, watch what you're taking personally. Monday, November 29th. This is a super busy day for the moon and the cosmos, like a last big push before the moon goes dark in a few days. The waning moon enters Libra at 12:54 a.m., where she's all about the feelings of others, creating beauty for others, peace, harmony, and justice. She spends most of the day focusing on the big picture and seeking truth. There are 3 major transits today. First, Mars in Scorpio trines Neptune in Pisces at 6:10 a.m. They're both at 20 degrees, 24 minutes. Mars may have you feeling inspired to take action towards your dreams. There may also be confrontations around manipulation and delusions. If you feel like someone has been manipulating you and you're ready to address it, this transit can empower you to stand in your power, even if it feels a little scary. Call in the energy of the Navy SEALs. They complete their missions with so much stealth that you don't even know they've been there until they're already gone. Then Mercury in Sagittarius trines Chiron and Aries at 6:41 p.m. They're both at 8 degrees, 36 minutes. This is a beautiful opportunity to have philosophical conversations around healing, especially how our own healing relates to the big picture and to global health and well-being. Chiron reminds us that we shouldn't ever have to sacrifice our own well-being for the sake of others, unless it's a conscious, empowered decision that we are choosing to make. Finally, Mercury in Sagittarius sextiles Saturn in Aquarius at 11:19 p.m. They're both at 8 degrees, 54 minutes. This happens on Tuesday for most of you listening. I like this transit. It provides structure and foundation to the big global philosophical conversations that are so important right now. Saturn won't let Mercury get mouthy like a teenage boy, or fanatical, or go off on a zillion tangents. Like a loving father, he keeps Mercury on task. Try not to take it personally if someone does this to you. If you go off on a tangent, or you're getting mouthy or fanatical and someone reins you back in, don't take it personally. Tuesday, November 30th, the waning moon is in Libra. She has a really rough day today, forming a T-square with Eris and Aries and Pluto in Capricorn. The moon wants peace, beauty, and harmony, while Eris and Pluto are willing to sacrifice peace in the name of sovereignty and independence. The moon goes void with a lovely trine to Jupiter in Aquarius at 8:19 p.m. Jupiter shares the moon's ideas and ideals for a new loving paradigm. This is the last big day of transits for the next week, as the moon moves towards her dark phase and we approach the total solar eclipse on December 3rd or 4th, depending on your location. First, the sun in Sagittarius trines Chiron and Aries at 6:37 a.m. They're both at 8 degrees, 36 minutes. On the heels of Mercury's trine to Chiron, the sun brings a healthy dose of love and optimism to the wounded healer. Philosophies around health and healing have been changing for decades. There's a reason that natural health has become a multi-billion-dollar industry over the last few decades. Chiron wants to do things his way in Aries, and the sun is happy to give him options and choices based on evidence and outcomes instead of dogma or fanaticism over what makes something science. Then Venus in Capricorn has her first sextile with Neptune in Pisces at 12:46 p.m. They're both at 20 degrees, 24 minutes, the same degree that Mars had his trine to Neptune. Venus, the maiden goddess, entered her retrograde shadow on November 17th, meaning that we should be paying extra attention to our relationships with love and abundance. Are you diffusing your energy inefficiently, or are you taking one step at a time, like the ram gearing up the steep mountainside? That's Capricorn. This is her first of 3 sextiles with the god of oceans, dreams, and intuition. The others will follow on January 5th and February 24th. Be willing to do the work of self-love to make your dreams come true. Anytime your dreams are based on somebody else, things aren't going to go well. They have to be based on you, your desires, and your self-love. Finally, the sun in Sagittarius follows Mercury and has his closing sextile to Saturn in Aquarius at 3:14 p.m. They're both at 8 degrees, 57 minutes. Look back at your commitments and the structures of your life since February 2021. What has shifted? Where can you bring a more optimistic outlook or spiritual perspective to what you are experiencing at a global level? Look forward to what you are seeking, what you're studying, and what you are ready to teach, and where you want to travel. If you're writing or publishing a book, the energy today supports big steps. Wednesday, December 1st, the waning moon moves into Scorpio at 3:55 a.m., where she is secretive, sensual, and wants to share. Now in her dark phase before the new moon, she would prefer to have a private moment with her lover than get any work done. And we'll feel the energy of 2 transits today. First, Mercury in Sagittarius squares Pallas Athena in Pisces at 12:35 a.m. They're both at 10 degrees 34 minutes. This is a transit of dogma versus vision and intuition. How many times have mothers had an intuitive hit about something with their child, only to be poo-pooed by their child's pediatrician or the family doctor? Today, some of you may experience yourself or others preaching from their soapbox. When Mercury is in Sagittarius, very few people are actually willing to listen to anything that goes against their beliefs, no matter how unfounded their beliefs might seem to you. Pallas Athena is wise enough to listen, but not take it in. She is wise enough to feel her truth through her intuition and vision, but not get swept away in the emotions of whatever Mercury is preaching. Also this morning, Neptune stations direct at 5:22 a.m. at 20 degrees 24 minutes of Pisces. Right. So that's the same degree as the Mars trine and the Venus sextile. Neptune's been sitting here for several days. He's been retrograde since June 25th. You may have trouble finding your proverbial sea legs today, or actually maybe it's your proverbial land legs today. Because you know how it feels when you've been on a boat for a while and your legs have that jiggly feeling for several hours or days afterwards once you're back on land, depending on how long you've been on the boat. This is how your psyche might feel today. There could be confusions or fog in your field of vision. Wait until several hours after the new moon on Friday or Saturday, depending on your time zone, to make any big decisions if you can. You'll have a chance to revisit and retune to your dreams over the next few months as Neptune moves back over the parts of Pisces where he had gone retrograde. Have faith in your connection with the divine and the cosmos, and everything will be okay. Thursday, December 2nd, the waning moon in Scorpio is feeling more empowered today. Because the moon is officially in her dark phase, it's not a day to start something new, but rather reflect on the last 4 weeks and finish up any loose ends where you feel motivated. She goes void with a square to Jupiter in Aquarius at 9:22 p.m. This is some overdoing energy in partnerships. One or both of you may be feeling especially daring in the bedroom tonight. On the other hand, this is also overspending energy, and you may find yourself wanting to overspend for some holiday gifts. If money is tight, if you're on a budget right now, I would definitely consider holding off on making big purchases until after the new moon and the eclipse, if you can. Otherwise, you may end up with a little bit of buyer's remorse. There are 2 major transits today. First, Chiron and Aries trines Vesta in Sagittarius at 2:51 a.m. They're both at 8 degrees 34 minutes. This is one of my favorite transit of the week. And in fact, you may notice that all of these transits with Vesta are some of my favorites because I love Vesta and the wisdom and the love that she brings as the divine feminine. So here, Chiron, the wounded healer, bears witness to so much pain. In Aries, Chiron is about the pain and wounding of the individual self. And as I mentioned in the Juicy Astrology for the full moon on November 19th, Chiron is the guy to watch right now with so many people getting shot, whether by choice, coercion, or force. And here in the US, we had 2 shootings already last week. So we're really feeling this energy of getting shot. Here, Vesta, the priestess and initiator of the divine feminine, illuminates a spiritual path for Chiron. She reminds Chiron that the healing he seeks must ultimately come from within. We can look to different philosophies, practices, and healing methods to give us clues about our path, but the light always radiates from within. Take a moment today to see which practices and beliefs truly honor your well-being and sovereignty. Then the sun in Sagittarius again follows Mercury with a square to Pallas Athena in Pisces at 9:23 a.m. They're both at 10 degrees 44 minutes. The high frequency of this transit is to use your intuition to shine a light on what's true for you. The lower frequency is to follow a dogmatism or fanaticism that's being espoused while ignoring your intuition. The sun in Sag is on an adventure and might not realize some of the dangers that lie ahead on his journey. However, Pallas can help him hone in on what's to come through, once again, seeking the answers within instead of from old beliefs. And finally, Friday, December 3rd, the waning moon moves into Sagittarius at 4:12 a.m. You'll be feeling the energy of release all day. I'll talk much more about this in the Juicy Astrology for the new moon and the total solar eclipse. And I'll talk a lot more about this in the new moon webinar. In the meantime, pay attention to what comes up for you around old beliefs and thought patterns, wounds and structures that no longer serve you. The new moon and total solar eclipse takes place at 11:43 p.m. at 12 degrees 22 minutes of Sag. And that's really important because the US ascendant is at 12 degrees 21 minutes of Sag. And I'll talk about this in a lot of detail in the new moon webinar, how the US natal chart is really going to be impacting all of us and what's happening for the US during the next several months. But this eclipse is a precursor of what's to come for the next several months. So you can still purchase the webinar, the recording, or the live version on my website at www.divinelyjennifer.com/webinars if you missed it. And you'll get you'll get details, you'll get juicy astrology still for the new moon in Sag and the lunar cycle for next week's video when I put it up for the new moon. But I really want to empower you all to be able to use the energy of this lunar cycle. That's why I do the webinars. It's just not just for me to be on camera talking to you all. It's really to be of service so that you can use this energy for your highest self and for you and to help make your dreams come true. All right. So the only major transit today happens at 5:30 a.m. when Saturn in Sagittarius sextiles Vesta in Sagittarius at 9 degrees 10 minutes. Vesta is really the star of the show this week. And I love this transit because it's Vesta. And it's a beautiful close to the very intense Scorpio lunar cycle. Saturn, who represents the divine masculine and divine father in his highest frequency, comes together for a sweet moment with Vesta, the priestess who initiates us into the divine feminine. See where you feel called to activate your highest spiritual teachings and bring them to life by giving them form and structure. Can you imagine how different the world will be when everyone follows teachings based on love for self and all, instead of being stuck in old beliefs and wounds and patterns that are structured around fear and control? This is the new earth paradigm, being in this place of love for all. And it's coming to a vortex near you. All right, beauties, this is for the most part a really lovely close to the Scorpio lunar cycle, especially if you've been feeling down or depressed from the intensity of the last several weeks. Call in the cosmos to help you finish up loose ends so you can throw out all of the Post-it notes on your desk and get ready for the optimism and adventure of the Sagittarius lunar cycle that begins on December 3rd or 4th, depending on your time zone. As I mentioned, that new moon webinar will be on November 28th at 3 p.m., which you can find at www.divinelyjennifer.com/webinars. And like I said, if you miss the live version or you can't be there in person because you're traveling for the holidays, you can always purchase the recordings to listen to closer to the new moon. And I always send them out the day after the webinar, so you should get them as early as Monday. My website is also where you can book a reading with me to understand better your natal chart, how all of this cosmic and eclipse energy may impact you, and how you can support your well-being naturally and in alignment with your chart. And it's also a great place to buy a gift card for people if you're totally stuck and you want to be generous for someone you love. Great to buy them a reading for the holidays. Oh, beauties, I love you. And I send you blessings for a divine, love-infused week. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Divinely Jennifer, and I'll see you the next time.